Our first speaker of the proposition team, Nicola, whenever you're ready.
Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen. Our house, the proposition team, believes that censorship should be introduced into media. Okay, so as media, we understand the traditional media, actually the newspapers, the television, and the radio. Because the traditional media is the most widespread, actually internet is nowadays the most widespread, but the only truthful information that we get is from this traditional media. Internet can also, in most of the cases, have not that true information. So this is why we limit ourselves to the traditional media, because they provide us with truthful information, and they provide us with information about the situation in a country. So introducing censorship is censoring some perspectives of informing the people, the citizens, because of the reasons that we will mention. So throughout our case, we'll prove to you why censorship should be introduced into media. We, for now, have two arguments, and I have no idea what we will talk about. Our first argument is maintaining prosperity. So, in a society, the society functions because people are limited by a law, and those people have to respect that law in order to get all of the other rights that they deserve, that are given to them by the constitution or by the legislative system. So we believe that censorship should be introduced into media because in that way we will prevent hate speech from being spread, actually anti-social propagandas or propagandas that can damage the country's integrity, that can damage the balance of the country's system, and that can lead to maybe riots or I don't know, destabilized situation in a country, which is what none of the citizens and the government want to happen. Also, censorship will take out any lies out of this media. So anything that is proven to be a lie that is presented by these traditional mediums will be taken down from the air or whatever. Also, there will be, of course, there will be censorship on child pornography, because that is not moral and that is forbidden by every law in every country. Our second how much time have I left? Okay. Our second argument is stopping children from developing asocial or antisocial behavior. So we all know that parents let children watch TV or listen to the radio or etc. But the point here is that parents must not let the children view or read stuff that can damage, that can affect their behavior in a negative way. So the parents must not allow the children to watch, for example, those are, I don't know, G-rated, R-rated movies that actually have content that can influence the children's behavior and make them antisocial. So it will again lead to damage in society. It will again destabilize. For example, the kid can go into school and, I don't know, beat the out of another kid because he saw, I don't know, Arnold Schwarzenegger do it on TV. So this is why parents must prevent children from being in contact with such information, because it can influence the children's mind, because they cannot make the difference in a second, because they cannot make the difference between what is real, what is unreal, what is moral, what is unmoral, and that is for them to judge when they can point.
Isn't the parent's obligation to teach his children what's wrong and what's right, and those information not to get from the television, because the television has not any
precisely what I am saying. Parents should teach children how to behave. Parents should teach children what is good and what is bad. Parents should read stories instead of playing, I don't know, violence movies or playing horror movies to their children, because they will not be able to sleep at night, and because they can develop antisocial behavior, and then they will not they will be rejected by society and will not develop as into mature grown-ups, but into something else. So because of the stopping the children from becoming antisocial, and because we have to maintain the prosperity in society, we think that censorship should be introduced into media. Thank you.
Today we are debating on the thesis this House believes that censorship should not be introduced into media. We are living in a society where information are crucial for a person to prosper in a society. We need the information, and we as conscious persons must limit those informations to ourselves. Firstly, I would like to explain that I will explain the first argument, which is that the first and the second argument, which are misusage by the government, the first argument, and the second argument is not respecting the basic human rights. And my teammate will explain the benefits and the harms of censorship. We clearly state that there should not be censorship. Why? Because we need the information. And if we put the censorship into the media, we'll make two bad things. Firstly, the government will be able to control the information that people will receive, and by that the government can misuse the information in political purposes and to cover some things, to show some things in a different way, and the people will not receive the true information.
Information?
Yes.
Is hate speech and information that should be regarded by the government as information that is legitimate to spread into the world, let's say?
I will explain that in my second speech because it's connected with the human rights. The second argument or the point is that by giving the censorship in the media will enable the basic human rights, the right of information, the right of receiving information, the right of the mediums to put information in the public, and the right of the right of expression. Yeah. Those are three basic rights which must be present in every society. The hate speech is a way to show that some groups or some people are not satisfied with something that's happening in the country, and it's human rights to express yourself. To express yourself however you want, but if you the hate speech is not a good thing, but we as conscious people can decide whether we are going to listen to hate speech or not. So the most important thing here is that by censorship we think that we ourselves must censorship ourselves. How is that happening? First of all, it's very important that the kids, not enough conscious people, should be censored by their parents and not by the government, by the media, or etc. So we agree with, actually they agree with our argument that the parents are those who should give or not give the kids the possibility to watch something, to hear something or not. And talking about this, I must say that there are always signs before the film starts or before the mission starts, which clearly states that this film is okay for kids under 12 years or kids under 18 years, and this film is not violent or is violent. So the parents and the kids, actually the parents are those who should decide. And they said that censorship will take out the lies. No, actually, by putting the censorship in the media will produce more lies. As I said, the government will make a good lies to protect herself or to place in public something that is not true. So it's necessary we as conscious people, as conscious person, to be able to censor the things that we should hear or not. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Let's have word in second speaker from Jim.
We are all here on a seminar called Provide a Good Reason, and that's a seminar when we are here for improving our society. We all, as debaters, as a people of this world, want to make a better society with more moral, more culture, and more culture, because that's one of the societies, and that's why we need to censor the information and the speeches and the news and in the media in purpose to keep this society on the good path. Hello, dear judges, dear opponents, dear team. I'm Georgi, and I'm the second affirmative speaker. First, I would like to start with a thing in a society called social contract, which means that if when a state gives you security and it protects your life, you need to do something, to do some feedback to the state, because that's how you bring some value back to the state and to the society. So with that's why, because of social contract, we must censorship the media. I would like to repeat our first argument. The first was maintaining prosperity and preventing hate speech. On
which television have you seen a hate speech or children pornography? Just in case.
I have seen on many televisions. Should I number you? MTV. There was MTV. There was. I don't know some Macedonian televisions, which I think that I don't know AID and Citel, because there's a television site I'm seeing. And also, that we are maintaining prosperity, and we are preventing the hate speech in pornography in purpose to keep the society on the good path, and to provide the social contract. And the second was stopping children from anti-social development, which is also again on keeping the society on the good path. Our third argument is right to be properly informed, because many information cruise on the media. Not all these informations are right, because there is a time when everyone can go and say something, and not everyone should have the right, because he can provide hate speech and to show some materials which are bad for a society and which are against their moral and cultural values. And also we must protect this again in purpose to keep the society on a better path. Now, they said that with providing the censorship in a media, there will be a misuse of the government, or the government will abuse this to censor all the news. No, because the government is controlled by the people, controlled by the commissions, controlled by the court. So it has laws which are based, the government is based. So it can't do censorship here. What will be? Some politician will say, I do not like this show, so I'm going to censor. No, that can be. It will be the censorship just only on the information which are bad for a society, which are against their moral and cultural values. And also they say that we are not, that with censorship it's not respecting the human rights of expression and human rights of information. No, we are respecting the human rights of expression, but like I said, in the social contract it says that you must contribute back to the society, and you must keep. You can express yourself unless you are hurting other rights or you are providing.
You said that the government is controlled by people and
by the courts and by the laws.
okay, but by the people too. You mentioned that if they are controlled by the people, and if there is censorship, that people will receive only certain information, how they will control the government?
No, you are not get that right. If the government can abuse all the things, can abuse its control because of the people. Because the people will, if government censor the show, which the censor the show which is not unmoral, which is culture, the people will stand against it and can't censor. Also, but expression all can express unless they are heard in other rights and informations which all can receive informations, but the information must be good, must be proper, and must be right to keep this society on the right path. So we can all live in a better side. Thank you.
Good afternoon, dear judges, dear public. I'm the second opposition speaker. So firstly, in my speech, I will start to rebut under the arguments of the proposition case, and then to upgrade your own case. So firstly, they said that their first argument was maintaining prosperity by hate speech and children pornography. So they didn't mention television except MTV, which is music television. So they didn't mention television where there is promoting hate speech, where there is promoting children pornography, and they didn't mention how those television influence the children, which they agree that the basic raising of the children is in the family. Which I mean the mother and the father, which means that they need to give the basics of the how the children should develop. So their point. No, thank you. Their second argument was stopping children of developing, which also agrees with our argument that with our opinion and our case that the basics of the children developing is in the family. So we don't see how television can influence the development of the children. Because, yes.
Do you say that one parent should stay always to his child and controls his TV?
But the children, all the children don't have only one parent.
But one of the
Thank you. So, as I said, the parents are those who need to raise their kids, who need to show them the morals, what is good, what is bad, to lead their path in their life. And television, we don't see any point how television can influence into raising the children, which means that censorship will only make worse things for the country, which I will say in my speech later. Also, their third argument was right to be properly informed. So how can you censorship something and you will get the truthful information if the information on the television is censorship, which means that it's forbidden. That it means that something with that information is not wrong. So how can the people be more informed if some information are bad for the people, and by that information I mean, as they said, hate speech and children pornography, which is a really awkward moment because not even single television in the world promotes children pornography and hate speech. So as my first teammate said, our first argument is misusage by the government. They said that the government is controlled by the people. So this means that a government could easily, by censorship, control the flow of information over the internet, which means that they can redirect the information for their own political purposes to attract even more followers to vote for that government. Which means that the government will promote only the information that the people want to hear, not the truthful information about the real situation, about the real picture of the country and of the society. So this means that yes.
Are we talking about totalitarian states here?
No one mentioned totalitarian states.
Okay, thank you.
So the second argument is the recognition of fundamental human rights. The fundamental human rights are proposed by every human declaration, which means that no one can censorship the human rights. Human rights to get the real information, human rights to be informed, human right to the right to media transparency, which means that media, if it's censorship, it cannot show the real image in the real situation of the country. And our third argument is the harms and the benefits from the censorship in the country. So they said that there won't be any harms, but what we have proven to you that the harms of the country, if it promotes censorship in the media, will be much bigger. Because firstly, there won't be respecting of the human rights, because no one can go against the human rights which are declared in the declarations. And secondly, there will be misusage of the government for political purposes. And even if there is a censorship in the television, there is always internet. Children can always go into internet and to look children pornography, to read hate speech, to talk hate speech about racism and stuff like that. Which means that even if their case maybe supports the thesis, there is always another solution. Thank you.
Well, hi everyone, I'm Aida. I'm the third member of the proposition team. I'm gonna introduce you in our arguments, and I'm gonna try to sum up what are we talking about in this debate. Well, I think that our arguments first was about maintaining prosperity, the thing about the hate speech. And she said that there is a law that led you to get right information. Well, I don't think that same law can lead you to offend someone, to say what you want. I think that also she said that the most questions was about the children's, and also I think what do you think if one kid watched a pervasive film? I think that most of you heard about it. It wasn't censored, so there is a really some scenes that shouldn't see any kids,
So you said that the censorship will be provided by the laws. Doesn't the government provide those laws, and can the government make those laws in their own benefit and their own purposes, political purposes?
No, thank you. No, the government doesn't protect censor some things in their own benefit. I think that government should censor everything that ruins our society, especially for kids. I mean, no, thank you. I mean, take example like MTV Jersey Shore, but like he asked which television doesn't censor. I mean, what if your kids watch it? Yes.
So, as you said, MTV Jersey Shore, doesn't the pattern need, the parents need to be those who will control does their children watch MTV Jersey Shore or not?
I got it. What if there is advertising, the thing about advertising programs, but what if the parent isn't home and the kid is like, the kid is too small to decide what is good and what is not good for him. So I think that everything should be censored, because, especially because of the kids. She said that the first member said that you can express, that you have the right to express whatever you like. I don't think that you can express whatever you like, even if that means to offend someone.
So how can be truthful information flowing over the television if the government provides censorship? How can the human right of freedom of speech be provided then?
I'm not going to answer this. It's irrelevant, so I'm not going to answer this. And other thing I'm trying to say. think that is.
Yes, my name is Miguel and I'm the first speaker from this team. First of all, I want to say that I think we proved that censorship shouldn't be introduced into media because I haven't seen pornography on the TV. Never. I have never heard hate speech on the TV, but it will change if, for example, when the kids are watching TV, their parents should always be there. Parents are showing their kids the right way, and their obligation is to be all the time by the kids. So if they aren't by the kids, they could always use internet. We can't forget the internet because you mentioned srpski film. Srpski film is you can watch that film on the internet, even if it isn't showed on television.
Point. Do you said that the parents must be tied to their children because of the TV?
Not just because of the TV, but they need to show them their way. They need to be by them every time. But they are also. You can't be truly informed if there is censorship in the media. As we said, the misuse by the government. We really need true information. We want to see what really happens, and we can see that if there is a censorship. People can't think that everything is pink and perfect in this world. We need to know the real situation.
Point.
No, thank you. If there isn't, no, thank you. If there isn't a censorship, people will be satisfied and they won't know to how to say their rights and.
Point.
Yes.
Aren't there other ways of saying what you have to say by not using hate speech, like protesting, demonstrating, or going on a strike?
We don't. There aren't other ways, and that ways are, for example, hate speech isn't showed on the TV. Medias aren't promoting that ways of protesting.
Point.
No, thank you. We need to receive the right information, so if there is a censorship, it won't be able. The basic human rights, as we said, are to express ourselves, to receive true information, and we can't. No, thank you. We can't stop the human rights. The benefits are much bigger than the harms from introducing the censorship into media. Government is with that are promoting lies on the TV that isn't good for the people. How much time? Because of that and many other reasons, we truly think that censorship shouldn't be introduced into media because aren't children the only people that are seeing it.
The basics of children development is in the family. This is very important because the parents are those who should show the children how to behave, what things are good, what things are bad, what things are useful, what things are not. the third speaker of the opposition team, when saying that the parents should be all the time with their kids, she didn't express herself properly. The parents should be by their kids all the time, but not in physical expression, but presence, but being by their kids with the things that they show and learn their kids. So that doesn't mean that they should be tight with the kids should be tight with their parents all the time. To go on the censorship, what does censorship mean? Censorship means three things: less information, false information, controlled information, and this is very bad. Censorship is not a good thing. Why? Because firstly, the society will have less information, and those less information will be firstly false and then controlled. Because why false and why controlled? The government can, as we said in our speeches, the government has the ability to control the media by the censorship and to put false information in the public. By this, there will be no real benefits for the society, as they stated. Hate speech and child pornography, that's criminal, and that's equality to murder, to making criminal things. So it's very normal that hate speech and child pornography are not shown on the television without censorship. So why should we censor something which does not show those extreme things, extreme negative things? So we as people are conscious people. We we should know what's good and what's bad, and by that we should make our own decision whether we are going to hear something, to watch something, etc. So the conscious people was one of the main bonds of our case, and they didn't actually refuted it, and they were saying that censorship should be introduced into media, because by censorship the hate speech, the child pornography, and all the negative consequences will be deleted from the public. But still, they didn't consider the internet itself in this problem. The internet exists and it's free for every child, for every person to go and see whatever he likes to see. You can easily say that you're 18 years on internet by making a false email, and you can be able to watch pornography, to watch hate speech, to watch pedophilia, to watch violence, films, movies, songs that are violent, and having the opportunity to do so surely decreases the benefits that they mentioned from the censorship. Thank you very much.
Okay, being 18 and reading hate speech on the internet, I think that you're old enough to judge whether that hate speech is justified or it is a lie. While I'm at internet, children that are little, that cannot judge whether one information is true or false, those children do not read political statements on the internet, they do not read columns, but they play games. So children that is young, that cannot develop antisocial behavior by playing Bubble Trouble on the internet, but they can develop antisocial behavior by watching killing and I don't know what on TV and reading about it in the newspapers. So the children have to be they watch cartoons on TV. Between the cartoons there are commercials, there are, I don't know, their parents watch news. This information gets into the children, and these children regard this as justified, because the parents would never think that their children would suppose that killing somebody is justified, and they would say, oh no, he killed he killed somebody, but you don't do that. I mean, that's bad. A parent would never say that because the parent thinks that that is understood. So children can go and then beat up another child at school. The media should be censored because the children are in direct contact with the media, and the information that is hate speech, that is spreading violence, should be taken away from the children in order to prevent them from becoming antisocial. About our first argument, about maintaining prosperity. Our second speaker explained the functioning of the social contract. So when a person, and yeah, I must mention that we are saying that since the media, the information will be censored only when it is antisocial, when it is hate speech, when it is child pornography, when it is, I don't know, inappropriate for children. So the media, so information will not be censored unless they fit into this group. So no information about a protest will be censored because a protest is a justified way of showing what you dislike about the country. So this will not lead to a totalitarian state because the people will still have the right to be informed, which is guaranteed by the laws. The people will still have the right to express themselves, which is again guaranteed by the laws. Everything will be available to the people except hate speech, child pornography, etc. And a person that does this actually breaks the social contract. What is the social contract? The government guarantees you that you have the right to express, that you have the right to be informed, that you have the right to live, that you have the right to privacy. If you do not kill anyone, do not I don't know, damage public property, if you do not spread hate speech, if you are not violent, if you do not vandalize public property. So when you don't do this stuff that the government tells you not to do, you have every right to do everything else. So if a media wants to express, they can express everything that they want. But the government will not do anything about it. But they cannot express, they cannot show lies, they cannot show child pornography, etc. So the parents cannot be by the children's side all of the time. Plus, they didn't take in consideration bad parenting. So a parent may be an absent parent, if you have heard what that is, but you can guess. The parent may be absent. The parent may not be present in the child's life. The parent may work two jobs at a time. The parent cannot control what his or her son or daughter watches all the time. And because of this, censoring this media is the only way that we can remove this information from the children's reach. And that is why media should be censored. Thank you.